I'm taking you out of the scrubbelows, watching plateaus where the cold wind blows. One step higher every week we go, turn a little winds into more 5.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Legacy Scrubland podcast, the podcast that takes you out of scrublows, past plateaus, and into more 5-0s each week. I'm your host, Kyle. With me, as always, is our Spike on the mic, Adam.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and we're excited to be here again.
Yeah, excited to talk the future of Magic. As of recently, we've got some cool sets and some announcements being dropped by Wizards, so we're excited to kind of talk about what we think of the future of Magic as it applies to the Legacy format. Before we get into our Magic talk, we always got to talk a little bit of nonsense. So let's start off with our filthy casual question of the week.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to throw you one. This is based on kind of the Mr. Beast challenges. Have you ever seen his videos? It's like you do something.
I'm a big advocate for Mr. Beast. I know he's gotten some hate over the past year or two, but I think he's really is for the good. So yeah, I've watched a lot of his shenanigans.
Dang, I did not know he was getting hated on. But no, I like Mr. Beast as well. I feel like his challenges are kind of sweet. So here is one for you. All right. So this is going to be the Mr. Beast movie challenge. The challenge is you have to pick a feature-length movie to watch 100 consecutive times for $1 million. So the way that it works, man, is if you fall asleep, the movie stops, the timer stops. You can't just sleep through it. So what movie are you going to pick to watch 100 consecutive times with $1 million on the line?
So if I'm doing my math right, so the day is 24 hours, and you're saying, and so it has to be a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have
can't
to pick
short films, man. Yeah, we can't cheat it.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be dead watching this. So I have to balance being like somewhat short, but also a movie I enjoy. All right, so the one that I probably got closest to, where I've watched 1,000 times, it was every night in college with my roommate. Shout out to Zach Frace, love you, buddy. We watched.
What movie was it?
Step Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Step Brothers. We watched every night and would just fall asleep to it. So we were able to re-say the entire movie by memory by the end of the semester. And yeah, so that one it was fun. It was pretty quick. I think it was like an hour or 20, maybe an hour and 30 minutes long. So like a nice short one, and it's just hilarious. No matter how many times you watch it, you just gotta laugh at Will Ferrell. He's a masterpiece and a king at it. How about you?
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go about it. I think you gotta go comedy. I'm going to go kind of a whimsical one. I'm going Shrek, like OG Shrek.
I love OG Shrek.
Dude, give me Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy. I feel like the soundtrack to that is also pretty solid. So like I feel like this is tough because no matter what movie you watch, you are going to end up hating it at the end. It's going to be a miserable experience, but I think the soundtrack hits. I think it's a pretty fun movie. So I'm going to go Shrek. I think I get the $1 million.
Hold on. Here's the real question. Are you a Shrek 1 or Shrek 2 kind of guy?
Oh, Shrek 1 all the way.
Ooh. I actually think Shrek 2 is goated. I think...
maybe I got to run back Shrek 2. I'm going Shrek 1 though. But
Shrek 2 soundtrack is like...
It's better?
It's so good. I mean, they're both great. Don't get me wrong, but I think like the story plus the music, like it was just. I want to rewatch it tonight. Like it was so good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I rewatched Shrek 2 and I changed my answer. I'm gonna go OG Shrek though for today's sake.
Nice. Also, as a little side, Puss in Boots. If you've never watched that one was also like it was a smaller movie. But it's a banger. Like it actually did really, really well. Yeah, so definitely recommend that to watch with your family.
Secret hit. All right, I'll put that on the list. All right. Well, rather short, filthy casual question. Again, if you guys ever have a question for us that you guys just want to hear us discuss before the podcast, let us know either in the comments on Discord, YouTube comments, anything like that. Would love to chat about some different questions. So hit us up there. But For today, we are going to start discussing the future of Magic, where we feel like the game is heading, how we feel about some upcoming sets. The first one that we're going to talk about is the Hobbit, which the full spoilers have just been dropped. That is the set that is going to be coming into our hands the soonest. So we wanted to talk about a couple of cards that we think will end up seeing some play at Legacy tables. So, you ready to jump into a couple of these?
I'm excited. I'm excited for the first one. The rest of them, I'm like, all right, maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first one, we're going to go kind of like starting with the heaviest hitter, we think first. And so this is going to be, I'll read it out for us real fast. This is Bilbo, Thief in the Night. This is 1 in a blue, legendary creature, halfling rogue. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast. Whenever Bilbo attacks, you may cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery from your graveyard. If that instant or sorcery is cast this way and would be put into your graveyard, you exile it instead. And it is a 2/2. So, being able to cast things back from anywhere, specifically the way that I'm thinking about this, is from your graveyard, and they're going to be costing 1 less. I kind of like this as there's a card on the ban list currently that when you would attack, you would get to cast some spells back from the graveyard. I'm thinking Dreadhorde Arcanist. I think this maybe does kind of a cousin type of feel to this. So what's your take on Bilbo? Do you like this card? Do you think it'll see some play?
So I think this card's very interesting. I remember when it was one of the first cards to be revealed for the set. I think everybody was very hyped up on it. And so again, here's what I'd look for. Is the card blue? Yup.
It is.
Is it a cheap mana source? Yup. And does it have
Mhm.
abilities relatively fast when it enters? I'll say that's like a maybe. That's one I want to really focus on of like how impactful is this card going to be? So you get the initial effect of spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand can cost 1 less to cast. So if it's in a deck that can interact with your graveyard or obviously anywhere else, like other than your hand, it's going to see immediate effect. So it's not going to be that common. What's going to happen the most is you need to wait 1 turn for it to see its power, just like Dreadhorde Arcanist, right? Dreadhorde Arcanist is a banned card where we know its impact and what it had, and so I know Kyle and I were discussing this a little bit before. So we were thinking that the Blue Delver list is like one of the spots where people are really going to be testing either 1, maybe 2 of this card because obviously it's legendary. So you're not going to see too much of you don't want to see 2 in your hand at all. And so I think it'd be fun to where it attacks. It's like a clear open space because that's what Delver does. And you're able to bring back a flow state for 1 mana. You're able to bring back the lightning bolts, whatever you want to do. Like it's out there and it's really powerful in that sense. The only problem I have is that it just doesn't do the thing right away. But Dreadhorde Arcanist, we could say the same argument. So no, I'm excited. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it for exactly in that blue-red Delver shell. Being able to get back your Quarry Steel Cutters for just a single red. I kind of like this as a late game type of move. I know that it's not going to close the game out, kind of like your normal late game Murktides do, but I like this as a way of if the game's kind of been a little grindy, your opponent is never, hopefully, they should never let their Quarry Steel Cutters resolve. This is a way of kind of getting a second activation or a second spell off of that Quarry Steel Cutter that they probably countered or destroyed as soon as it came in. So I kind of like this as like the game goes long, they've dealt with a lot of your cutters, they've dealt with a lot of your problems, and now you're able to start to bring this out and start to accrue some values, casting those ponders back, casting those flow states back. So I kind of like this in that shell. And then you also mentioned offcast. You liked it in affinity as well, like the Emery role.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. No, I like it in the Emery role as well. Do you? The thing that I don't know is do they play well together, or like do you have to like take out a couple of Emery spots for this? That's the thing I don't know. What's your take? Do you run them together? Or do you feel like it's a?
So I feel like if you're
One or the
playing
other.
Affinity, Emery is like the
So much
queen
better.
of all.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
the
like
best.
the best card you can have. Now, like, does this complement it, and does this take the replace? Loki is the other card that people are playing right now. So, like, that's the
Yeah.
slot that it's currently fighting for. maybe it beats out Loki. Like it's going to be close. Like because with the affinity decks, they get the ability to have haste more with the skateboard, and so like turn again, it's probably like turn 3 is when you really start seeing it pop off. It's like you can do it. You can get a free bobble back when you attack. The problem that affinity has, where Delver does not, is Delver is very good at clearing the way. Where again, you
Yeah.
have if you're red, you have the lightning bolts. You have a little bit more dazes and forces to keep the board clear, to keep it open. Whereas the affinity list has more, they go very wide, and that's their way to kind of get around you.
Yeah.
And they have a few ways to deal with like one specific creature. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not totally convinced yet that it's going to be an affinity. I agree with what you were saying earlier that probably the Delver list is where you're going to see people try it. I'm not sure if it's going to make the spot. I give this the set was not very legacy focused, which is fine. I think this is one you're going to see the most of, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think a couple of copies will show up. At least people are going to test it a bit. So that is Bilbo Thief in the Night. We've got another one. This is Bilbo's Gambit. Adam, can you run us through? You like this one a lot. I think it's very interesting. Can you tell us about this Bilbo's Gambit?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite cards when I saw it spoiled, just because I love this style of deck. And so again, it's Bilbo's Gambit. It's 1 white, 1 colorless, instant, gift a treasure. So if you're not familiar with that, is you may promise an opponent a gift as you cast a spell. If you do, they create a treasure token before its other effects. It's an artifact, and then you get a treasure, right? Then what happens is whenever a return target spell to its owner's hand. If the gift was promised, players can't cast spells this turn. So again, this is very similar to the Remand spell. Reprieve is very similar to that. And the idea is you're able to bounce a spell back to your hand. With Reprieve and Remand, you are drawing a card, where in this one, you are just silencing the opponent. So they're similar, but they have different effects.
Mhm.
If you're familiar with Modern today, actually a new deck is popping off, and that's the Eldrazi one, where they are playing this like silence. They're playing a lot of the silence effects in there, and like you're able to turn off a turn, and then you like revamp into your thing. And I could sort of start seeing that bridging into Legacy as well, where like it's more tempo, right? Like you're pushing them back, and then you can kind of really start ramping into your effects. Is this going to be like a major card? Probably not. It's like I said, it's going to be like very niche. I think there's just going to be some tempo white decks that you're going to start seeing this potentially. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like this as a way, excuse me, of specifically attacking stack combo decks. So I really like to see this as maybe like a sideboard tech card, as far as I bring it in against Doomsday. And so if they start to go to clear their pile, they have a Cavern Naming Thassa's Oracle. You'll notice that this doesn't counter the spell. It's just returning it to their hand. So if they go to clear a pile or have a whatever, and then you bring this back to their hand, they're not able to get the effect that wins them the game. I kind of like this similar to when you're playing against a Storm deck. Let's say that they get the Squelcher out so that you can't counter their spells, and they go for some sort of Storm where they Beseech or something like that. If they use a lot of their mana to sacrifice their thing, you get to return that to their hand and kind of put them back a turn, depending on how much they push for like that swing, especially in the case that they have a Squelcher out. Maybe they think the coast is clear and you're able to get them. Those to me seem maybe a little corner casey, like, Magical Christmas Land. So how much that's actually going to show up, I don't know. But I do think that could fit against those type of decks.
I'll be excited to see. I'll probably try it out once. This card looks fun.
Yeah, I think it's neat. I think it's interesting. I don't love the idea of giving my opponent mana, but I like the idea of it. It's at least interesting to me.
All right, what's our next one?
All right, so the next one is the Arkenstone. Now, this is one that you were liking. This is a 5 generic for a legendary artifact, and it has Seek the Heart as the sorcery part of the adventure. So you get to search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle. That sorcery effect, or sorry, that adventure effect is 2 and a white. And then the actual card itself says creatures you control get +1/+1 at the beginning of your end step. So it gives you kind of a pseudo monarch effect where you get to draw the card at the end of your turn. So maybe you get this out early. It does maybe a similar thing of the ring of getting you some card advantage later on. But I think the big reason that you liked it, I really thought was interesting, was finding the one of Emrakul and being able to use that as a game ender. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think if this card would go anywhere in Legacy, it'd probably be the Tron. And I'm debating whether it'd just be one in the sideboard or maybe one main deck. We'll see. So again, the idea is like on its front side, so the Seek the Heart, like just getting Emrakul and being able to search for that is going to be a very powerful effect where, like, and this is your sideboard, like you can get it from your sideboard essentially. And then part 2 is if you have a lot of Eldrazi spawns, you can have all your creatures +1/+1. So that is like, it might look like blank text in Legacy, but I think with specifically the Tron list, they have a lot of spawns. So giving them all +1/+1 is actually an important factor.
It's
And
not
then
nothing for sure.
yeah, yeah. And then again for Tron, it's like medium. It is that Monarch effect where you just get to draw an additional card each turn. That is not both ways. Where Monarch, if you can get hit and you have to give it back.
For sure.
This one, you just have it. And so, again, I think it would only be in Tron, and I'm excited to see people try. I think people will try it. It's just like how frequently you'll see it. I think it'll be really fun to see and play.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm not a Tron guy, so I don't know how like tight the wish package is. Like, what are they going to be cutting for this? But I think it makes sense for people to try it. So
Yeah.
So the next one we've got is Thorin Oakenshield. This is a weird one. I don't actually know if it's good, but I think it's interesting enough for us to talk about. And this is a single red, single white. So Boros, legendary creature, dwarven noble, trample with storied. And so the storied is if you control 3 or more artifact legendaries and or sagas, you have enduring story for the rest of the game. And so his other text says as long as you have the enduring story, artifacts and creatures you control have ward 1. So I don't know how good this is going to be. I like this as potential in like an energy build, the Boros energy. Or there was another deck that I thought was kind of interesting, and it was a very low to the ground, playing a lot of legendaries, and then you turn on the Mox Ambers, and it's just a way of kind of building up your board pretty quickly and then trying to aggro people out of the game. So you've got Thalia, you've got, I don't know, just low to the ground, kind of white-red legendary creatures. I could see this maybe being a spot where you would want to try that just to give a little bit more protection to potentially some fragile creatures. And it makes it a little bit harder for them to just like spot remove some things as they have to now pay an additional mana. And if you have Thalia out as a way of helping to turn this on, it just kind of taxes their mana even further as you are just chipping away at them. So that's a home that I potentially thought of. Adam, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is this card has pretty good stats as just like a beater, right? So it's a 3/2 trample, and that's kind of what you like to see. Like it is strong, and if you get it storied, I think it is fit well in that taxing deck where people are trying to Swords to Plowshare, and it's just like more and more taxes. Will it see play? Like you have to ask yourself, what are you taking out of the list to do it? And so, man, that list is pretty stock right now. Like, I don't know. You play a lot more red white than I do. Maybe the Thalia is probably like the other card that it's competing for, like that 2 mana spot. It's better than like it doesn't die to Bowmaster, which Thalia has been notoriously been very saddened for.
Sure.
So
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah.
I think there's some flex spots within the energy package. I don't know as well like the low to the ground legendary deck, but as far as energy goes, I think there's been times where that deck pivots and they play White Orchid Phantom if they're trying to really lean into the lane hate. There's times that they lean a little bit more into Thalia if they're trying to hit some stack stacks with some taxes. I don't know necessarily the particular meta game where you would choose this one over those options, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist.
Awesome. All right, let's get into our last one. This one, I actually love this card. I don't think it's going to be major in Legacy, but like seeing the alt art for it, I'm not sure if you saw it, but if you haven't, you should definitely look up the picture
No,
of
I
it. It's
haven't.
those,
Damn.
all of the like old school books of Tolkien, and
Oh, nice. Okay,
it looks
nice.
so beautiful for all these. That's all for Gandalf, the Arkstone, and a couple others that they have it, and like this one looks. You should definitely go see it. And so let me read off the card. So it's a 1 red, 2 colorless. It has flame shape, and it's an avatar wizard, which wizard plays a huge role in Legacy even today. It's look at the top 2 cards of your life. So this is flame. Excuse me. This is flame's shape for 1 red, 1 colorless. It's a sorcery. Look at the top 2 cards of your library and exile them face down. For as long as they remain exiled, you may play them if you control a wizard. And then its other side, it's a 2/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Gandalf gets a +1/+1 until end of turn and deals 1 damage to each opponent. So Kyle, tell me your thoughts. I know you were pretty excited about this for wizards.
I don't think it's good, but I'm gonna buy them and try them. So I think it's one of those things where it says a lot on the card, and it does look really good if you can pull off a couple of different things. I love the idea if the flame shape sorcery part where it was 1 in a red said exile the top 2 cards and you get to play it just whenever as long as they're exiled, then this would be great. The fact that you need a wizard on the battlefield, I've been playing Jeskai Wizards. There's times where you don't have that, and if it feels pretty bad then if you're just saying, I'm spending 2 mana, taking a bunch of time from my turn to take 2 cards from my library and not play them, and then I pass the turn to my opponent. I do love the actual card of a way of potentially closing the game of, my ponders now deal a damage, my brainstorms now deal a damage. My forces hurt me for damage, but it's also going to hurt them, and it grows Gandalf a little bit, so we can try to close the game. I like it if you can get things to line up. I don't know if the back half, as far as the body of the 2/3 that pings, is better than another closer, as far as like a 4th Aerlingus or something like that. And I don't know if the front half, the flame shape element, is better than just playing more flow states or something like that in your deck. So is the concept of maybe you combine both of them on a single card, does that hold a spot? I'm kind of doubtful, but I don't want to just write it off without actually having tried it myself. So I will probably end up picking up some of these. So I'm hoping that they're cheap. Oh, you added some of the art. This is sick. I like
Dude,
this.
right? I added the card for Kyle to look at right now. Get his reaction. It's so pretty. Like, I love it.
I do like this. I'm not gonna buy that one though. There's no way that's less than like $150. I'm not gonna buy that.
It's 113 right now. So
yeah, there's no chance I'm buying it. Oh man. Well, what's your take? I gave my take. I think you're gonna see it when you play me, and then I don't know if you're gonna see it anywhere else.
I don't think it fits well in your current build where you're like more of a control list, and then you like turn the table late and try to end out the game. I think this type of card was meant for prowess. There's another card in the set that's like his staff, where it's meant to like obviously be with him, and he's able to get these triggers twice, and you're able to go off. So if anything, I think there's going to be a deck that is going to be shaped from this card that people are going to try, and it's going to be like the prowess, where it's wizards that just keep going like fast and like turn 3 try to kill you, and this is a way to like revamp this, and it would do pretty well. So that's where I kind of see this card. Being at 3 mana is like, ooh, that's a lot for Legacy to just
I agree.
not. If it had haste, I think it would be insane. Like it would do really, really well.
Yes,
but obviously, yeah. So I think it'll be fun to play. I do want to pick up. I would love to pick up like one of each of these JRR Tolkien.
Oh, the pretty
they
ones,
are just
that's
so
fair.
pretty.
That's fair.
So yeah. So you might see me trying to toy with it. We'll see.
Okay. I have my doubts, but I will be trying it as well. So, well, that is the Hobbit set. We've got a couple of other things that Wizards has recently announced. So, if you guys have been paying attention, they have recently dropped the 2027 um, upcoming Universes Within sets, uh, which I'm excited to kind of go through. Some of these I think look really interesting. There's a few Universes Beyond sets that have also been announced as far as when they're going to be dropping, but we don't know for sure what those are. There is a little bit of speculation that we'll address as well. So,
Okay, I want to ask you a
yeah,
question
yeah,
before
what's
we
up,
get
man?
started with this.
Yeah, what's up?
Were you like me and maybe a lot of other audience? I'll be interested in their thoughts. Did you think Detroit was going to be one of the sets of the new season?
No,
I don't know if
did
you
not.
saw it. Like, if you pull up their announcement, it's in like the nice magic letters. It's like MTG Detroit, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be a Detroit version. Like, what is going on? They're really trying to throw us off here. And like, I kept reading through. I was like, oh wait, no, it's just the city that they're gonna have the next con. But
Oh
I
my
asked
goodness.
other people like in chats, I was like, "Oh, you guys ready for?" So like everybody thought that. Everybody thought that was like a Magic set. It was like MTG Detroit, and we're gonna be like in danger. So no, I thought that was fun.
Well, it makes sense, man. We spent two
In
sets
New
in New
York,
York, and
yeah,
now we
right.
head to Detroit. So, well, the first, no, I do think that's interesting. We'll hit that in a second. The first set that they announced is called Noctis. This is the Sunken Realm, and this is February 5th. This is going to be the underwater set. So, sounds like a lot of merfolk. They talked about how there's not going to be any flying in this set, and they have to come up with some other sort of evasion. I think it potentially leads to some interesting themes, mechanics.
A lot of blue
Wait, like
cards, a lot of fishes.
lot of blue cards, a lot of fishes. I think those could see some homes and legacy potentially. What's your take? I'm honestly like, are you really interested in this set?
Yes,
I don't know if this
I,
is for me.
I again, I do like my blue spells. I like to counter a lot of things. So it being in the water, so you know you're gonna have like some insane merfolk. If they don't, I'll be really upset. But they're gonna have
That's
some
true.
insane merfolk that you're gonna
Yeah.
like be able to potentially try your merfolk decks again, which I would love to try. It probably is gonna have some cool counter spells, and it's gonna be an in-universe set. So I think that's definitely up my alley. It should be really exciting for myself.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I love Merfolk. I feel like that could be really fun. I don't know. I guess I just have a couple of questions as far as how the set's going to come together. But I'm excited to see what that looks like. And then after that, they do announce MagicCon Detroit. So shout out, good for good. Not a Magic set, but just an upcoming MagicCon. I don't know that I love their timing of putting it in February.
February
But
in Detroit. Yeah, let's see
yeah,
how
I
well
don't know
that
about
turns
that
out.
one. Then we've got in April 9th, there's an unannounced Universes Beyond. There's a MagicCon Tokyo, which is May 14th to the 16th. That'll be pretty cool. And then the next one we've got is June 4th. This is one that I'm really excited about. This is going back to Kamigawa, but this is Titan Breach. So it's going to be a mix of Kamigawa with Ikoria. So basically, big kaiju monsters come to Tokyo type thing. I think that'd be sweet. I'm excited for that
I
one.
love Kamigawa, so it's really hard for them to mess this up. And plus, you get to add these giant monsters. I think I'm so in. I think this would be really fun. Again, is it going to be legacy specific? Probably not. I don't think this is going to be a legacy set. Where I think Nocturus, like you're actually going to see a lot of legacy cards. I think
Mm,
this set is you're going to see big monsters, and I'm all for it. I think I love my big monsters. Maybe there'll be one for Reanimator. You know, who knows? We'll see.
that's true. I could that actually could be kind of cool. I could see this maybe being a little bit more commander themed of like higher cost
I mean,
spells.
that's just a given
People like
set
to
these
jam,
days.
but yeah, that's fair. But I do. I mean, I've really liked the art that Kamigawa has produced. Those are my favorite
Yeah.
lands that I've been using.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see kind of what other art comes out of this set, and I'm really excited for this. So I think this is the one that I'm most hyped about. After this one, we go to Minneapolis for a limited championship in June. August 6th, they've got a Universes Beyond unannounced set currently. MagicCon Vegas in August. That's the 27th to
I
the
really want to
29th.
go to that one, by the way. So if you're a listener, let's try to get set something up that if you want to go, I think that would be so fun next year.
I've not hit up a MagicCon, but I feel like if you're gonna
What?
hit
Oh,
one up,
Kyle,
yeah, I feel like if you're gonna hit one up, Vegas has got to be the spot, right?
it's
I mean,
very fun.
Tokyo would be sick, but I'm not going to Tokyo for it. So Vegas probably is what we'll be hitting up. So, and then after that one, October 1st, we've got Zalfir. This is going to be the return to Teferi's home plane. I hope I said that one right, but I think this will be kind of cool. I'm excited to see more Teferi. The art from this looks really cool. I don't know much about the plane as far as like the mechanics go. From my understanding, this is kind of like a throwback to some of like the older sets of Dominaria. I don't know that like I could pick out some of the cards and mechanics from this set. Do you know of any?
I really don't. And I know our audience is going to be upset that I don't know all the. What this is it has to be like pretty new, right? Am I just crazy? Like,
Well, I think I think it's the first time that they're making a Magic set based on this plane.
right?
But my understanding is that it was part of Magic's history for a long time. But I think this like was dropped into the game before I got into it. So this is like old throwback Dominaria. I think before they started.
Interesting.
That's my understanding. I could be wrong. I do not know as much about this plane. So, yeah. And then from there we go to Amsterdam, December 3rd through the 5th. And then before that, we've got November 19th and another unannounced Universes Beyond. So a split of 3 unannounced Universes Beyond with 3 pretty cool in-universe sets. Again, I think Kamigawa is my front runner. I don't know which I like better between Noctis and Zalfir. What's your take?
Yeah, no, I think Noctis is going to be my favorite, then Kamigawa, and then Zhalfir is going to be probably my third, just because I'm just not as familiar with the mechanics that came from the set. So we'll see. I think like I'm looking at more as like the phase out mechanic was from there.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure we'll find another Broken Teferi card, so that'll be
Right.
really exciting.
I do love Teferi. Teferi is one of my favorite planeswalkers to play with. I've played with the big
Yeah.
Teferi and the 3 fairy. It is a very fun card to play.
Yeah, they're great to when they're on your side, and then
Yep.
if you look across the table and you see one, you're very unhappy. So
The most fun thing is like you win the game when you untap with Teferi with Big Tef. Like you untapping with it, it's game over. Like I don't know if I've ever lost a game when that card untaps. It's
No, for sure.
crazy.
Well, those are our sets. Tell us which ones you are most excited for. And actually, before we jump into our thoughts for Legacy going forward, there is a little bit of speculation. I don't know if you've heard much about this. So people are thinking that 2 of the Universes Beyond sets are going to be Zelda and World of Warcraft. Do you like that? Do you like that or not like that?
So I know of World of Warcraft. A lot of my friends have got into it. I think that one would be very fun because it feels very Magic the Gathering feeling. Like I think it's gonna be very cool. I think it would bring a lot of players into Magic and you would see a lot of new things. So I'm actually okay with World of Warcraft if they did it. I know it's still speculation. Zelda, I don't know, man. Like how many characters are there really in Zelda? Like you have, Zelda, Link, Ganondorf, and that's like the 3 main ones that you can name off the heart. Like, yes, there's going to be a lot more like smaller characters, but I would be upset if Zelda was actually a release there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about, well, one, I've never played World of Warcraft, so I don't really know much about that one. I mean, I've played a little bit of Zelda, but again, my knowledge does not go really any further past the 3 characters that you've just named. I also never played, what was the one, Final Fantasy. So they did the Final Fantasy set. I've never played that. So I don't know like how much deeper Final Fantasy is than something like
Final
Zelda.
Fantasy, the depth of that game is so.
Is it crazy?
It's crazy, man.
Okay,
There's
fair.
So
Well,
many,
then-
like obviously Zelda has lots of games towards it, but it's a
Okay.
very similar story, right? There's Link who's going to
Oh, it's the
save
same
Princess
hero?
Zelda from Ganondorf. It's just like Obviously, there's gonna be a little bit different end bosses and whatnot, but that's generally how the story goes. But they're fun. I like the games, but just not
Okay.
for Magic.
Yeah, I will forgive my ignorance. I not the necessarily the biggest gamer, so I did not know, I guess, how similar those two franchises would be. I am more okay with these, I think, though, either way, than I would be something like the Ninja Turtle set. I wasn't.
I hated Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
That was my least favorite set of probably to this day. Even more than Spider-Man. I at least love Spider-Man, so I think a lot of stuff was like kind of cool. Not a great
yeah.
set, but like I really hated it. I also heard for speculation like more of Marvel. I think there's going to be one more Marvel that over the next
That
year.
makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
So like there's some talks of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure if they got the rights to that yet. What are some
Okay.
other big ones? I mean, obviously Marvel is huge, and there's so much that they can delve into.
Right. If
And
they get like an X-Men set, that'd be
X-Men. Yeah, that's
insane.
another good one too, where I
But
think it would be banger. I don't think X-Men. I would not be happy with X-Men. I don't think it fits the theme of Magic, but I could see them. Either it was the Marvel superheroes, right? Like, but they did it
Right.
anyway. So yeah.
yeah, I think as far as the speculation goes, I am happier with the speculation of 2027 than I was with the reality of Universes Beyond in 2026. So I'm hopeful, but we'll see kind of how it shakes out.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the future of our actual format that we like. Next week, there is a BNR announcement, ban restricted announcement coming, and I feel like everywhere you look, people are talking about what they expect, and it all revolves around, is the Fantastic Car going to be banned? Is it bad for the format? And some people say absolutely. Some people say if you look at the results, it's really not a problem. Adam, do you want to give some thoughts?
I was
What's
gonna
your
say,
take, man? Where you
before
at?
this, Kyle and I were about to fight, man. Kyle's like, "No, it's gonna get banned." I was like, so no, in my opinion, as much as like in a perfect world, this is what my bans would be. It would be probably the Tamio. Tamio is, again, I've been saying this for weeks. I think that card is busted. I'm now playing it. The card is busted. Fight me if you don't think it's a busted card. I would say if you try to nerf that one, plus you hits the car, I would be happy. And it's probably it. Like if you hit both of those, I think the format would be very fun. Maybe Welder. I know the Welder Cam is like the new deck right now. That it's been Harry. Shout out to him. He's been doing really, really well on MTGO and putting up great results. Like if you nerf those decks, I think the rest of the format's going to be pretty healthy. But here's what I think Wizards of the Coast is actually going to do. I think it's going to be no change. The reason I say that is they already made like a big change in the last BNR with the Candelabra. So with that being banned, like they already shook it up a lot. They want things to be settled. So they generally do that after a big shakedown. The car, if you actually look at the results, it's just not putting up there. I mean, the first few weeks it was miserable because that's all you saw on MTGO, and everybody was pulling their hairs out, and that's why you wanted it banned. But today, I don't know, they just had a really big event, and like it showed up okay. There was a few decks, like it's in Doomsday. Doomsday is probably obviously the biggest one, but is it much different than where it was before Car? I guess that's a question that they're going to have to kind of look into themselves. Well, what are your thoughts?
So I understand that going specifically based on results, and if you look at the meta, it does look pretty balanced. You see a lot of different play styles represented. The way that I am looking at it is the meta still feels, in my opinion, that it's being warped around Fantastic Car and Deck's abilities to keep up with Doomsday. And mostly Doomsday, maybe Storm a little bit, but just decks that can play the Fantastic Car, the decks that are doing well within the meta that fall into these different play styles, whether that's aggro, whether that's tempo, a lot of them are built with ways of beating the Fantastic Car. And if your deck doesn't have a way to beat the Fantastic Car, you're not seeing it exist. So while I think from like an outside perspective looking in, you do see these different archetypes, or I guess play styles represented, but I think the depth of each of those play styles is probably shallower than I would like to see. Like you can still see some different tempo decks pop up, but the main tempo deck that I feel like I'm seeing is blue black. And it's not that I'm saying it's bad that blue black shows up, but I think the fact that blue black is kind of coming back and doing so well after for a while it was kind of nowhere is because it can Thoughtseize, and then it has blue counter magic. So it can interrupt AB combos, and then it has the ability of interacting with people on the stack. I think if you look at some of the aggro decks, the ones that I feel like I've seen do well end up looking like the green black versions, whether that's the Moonstompy, whether that's I know this is Cradle
Pox.
Control, the what?
Pox.
Pox, yes, things like that. And that's because they have the ability to Thoughtseize, they have the ability to attack mana, and they have just kind of built-in artifact hate, which can deal with cars. And then a lot of those green decks also have ways of dealing with Thassa's Oracle with endurance of kind of putting their graveyard back into their library to keep them from winning the game. So they have ways of interacting with those very powerful decks. So even though I think the results potentially are not so crazy, it's still winning. The thing that I think is crazy is that it's still winning with all these decks still gunning for it. And the other reason that I think Carr potentially goes is just the flexibility that the second part of the combo has for the deck. And what I mean by that is if you're thinking of a way of how to hate on these decks, I look at it similar to the Oops All Spells deck of you bring in a hate pieces to attack a certain strategy, and it's so easy. There's no cost really for them to pivot into the Belcher strategy or for them to pivot into the, I don't know, like big creature type of strategy. And I view this as like a similar thing with Doomsday and the Fantasticar of, are you going to bring things in that chew up their artifacts? Okay, well now they just throw Doomsday on the stack, Thassa's Oracle, and you kind of lost that. But you still have to respect the car enough to bring these cards in that potentially look really bad if they go after a different part of the combo. The reason that I feel like that's tough though is just because there's no real cost for them running that second combo. Does that make sense? Like it feels almost too easy for them to kind of pivot between the two. Whereas if there was a little bit of a harder sacrifice, whether that was a mana restriction or something, or if like the car came in and it had to trigger as a creature, so you had the ability to deal with it, then I would feel potentially different. But that's at least my take. I know that's probably some crazy rambling. Does that make sense at all? What's your kind of counter?
I mean, like you said, in my perfect world, I hate playing against Doomsday. So like I would love to see it gone, but like it is beatable. Like if you play Force of Will, like that is a huge way to stop those decks. And that's why Dimir Tempo is so good. And how I like to think about it, and this is probably what you'll maybe hear next week in the thing, is like the format has like the classic is the rock paper scissors, right? So you have the tempo list beating up on the combo decks. So again, that's like Doomsday, Reanimator, and then the energy decks, right? The ones like to go wide or lands, especially energy. I think energy is like I thought that deck was going to be so crazy at Oklahoma, and I was telling you that while we were there. Like that deck just preys on Dimir Tempo, but it loses to Doomsday. And so like it's this triangle of the format. And so I would imagine that energy is going to see an uptick as tempo is going up. But obviously like Doomsday is going to be holding it. So I think there is I'll say quote unquote healthy triangle of the format where they're each beating each other out. And that's what's going to be controlling the format for a while. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to be shocked if it's not banned. Or sorry, either will or will not be banned. Like I'm not going to be shocked. But
Okay.
yeah, I'll put my money on Doomsday. Excuse me. Yeah, Doomsday is not going to get any like changes to it. I think it's going to be okay for one more cycle.
Okay, I'm gonna put my money on. I do think it gets banned. I think the car goes. I do think you made a great point about welder cam. I think that deck secretly is just smashing people's face.
Yeah,
and
that deck's not going to get banned, but that deck
Dude.
is hot, and people should be playing it. It's so
I
good.
don't know why people like. I've played it a couple times online, and I feel like I'm in a really good spot, and then just out of nowhere, I'm like, oh shit, I'm dead. That sucks. So
Yeah.
I don't. Again, I don't know why more people are not picking that up. I'm glad that they're not, because it just means more L's for me. But I don't know. I feel like that's
I think that is
weird
another
piece.
deck though that I feel this with Reanimator. If you want to beat Reanimator, you can do it. There are sideboard cards that will completely shut out the deck, and that's why again Reanimator feels hard right now because people are hating out Doomsday and Reanimator, and their cards that affect both decks as a sideboard. But with Affinity, like nobody is like, oh, I need to bring in 5 sideboard cards for the Affinity matchup. Like, no, everybody's skimping on their Affinity cards. At least I was. And then that's where Harry can just run over the tables and to get first, top 8 at every event. So, yeah, that's where I think Affinity is right now. But that deck is hot. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I'm surprised that with that, because I feel like artifact hate has to be high. Like if you're expecting you know that you're gonna have to see cars, you know that you're gonna have to either.
Yeah, but for cards, you're not really interacting with the artifacts as much as you're interacting with a stack. Like you really want to counter it, not let it hit the battlefield and then like deal with the side effects. Like Meltdown doesn't really help hit it because you're not getting 5 mana, and then the other one is Null Rod, right? But Null Rod, if you've, I'll shout out to Jeff again. Watch how well a Null Rod or a Null Rod effect happens when there's a car, right? Cars just runs them over. It doesn't matter. And so that's where it's just like, oh shoot.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more of like the Force of Vigors. Like if I'm playing against, so again, if I'm going to be playing like a black green deck, I'm bringing in Force of Vigors. I'm probably bringing Collector Roof. I'm bringing something that's going to start hating on these. Collector Roof maybe is not the greatest example, but I do think it's good at like shutting off petals, shutting off Lion's Eye Diamonds, things like that. So I would expect those to be running around, and then I would think the Force of Vigors are just
I think Force of Vigors
they put the trigger on the stack.
Right now.
Yeah, they put that on the stack, and you pop the car. So again, I don't know. My take is just I think that some of the colors you said, like blue is great for dealing with these things, and I think you're right. I just think it's hard if you're not going to be blue and you're not going to be black and you're not going to be green for dealing with the artifacts. I think it puts like I'm surprised. I don't think energy is in necessarily a great spot. I know taxes is not in a great spot. I'm surprised to see blue red in a great spot. I feel like the best red deck right now, blue red deck, has got to be the welder cam combo, but I don't know.
Well, blue red Delver is like, as we talked with Mike before, blue red Delver is one of the best matchups is Doomsday, and that's what it just wants to prey upon, and that's where I think like I think
but then they get smoked by blue black though. So like
right yeah. But that's what we're saying, right? It's like a good balance.
It is, yeah. Right? You're right. There's enough predators for everybody to get kind of checked at some point.
Do you know? I know we're ending up, but do you know what deck is really popping off right now too? That I've been seeing a lot online. Maybe because it's like, it's not even that cheap. It's the mono white initiative. I know
I have seen more of that.
Yeah, Kevin's probably like, I don't know if he's excited because like he was playing this a lot before it got really like big, but I've been playing against it a lot, and so. It
makes sense though.
Yeah. Sheltered by Ghosts. I was playing that in our draft, by the way, this past Friday. So now I'm like, all right, this card's hot. But they're playing that card. They're playing what is it? Clarion Conquerors is awesome. Archon of Emeria I hate that card. It's so good against me. So yeah, that's why it's popping up so much.
That makes sense. It's just like you're putting in a hate piece specifically for, I think, things that are doing pretty well. Yeah, like if you're running into those car matchups, you're running into I think some of the things that are pretty popular. It makes sense that that deck is popping off as well. Okay. Well, let's do this. So we are gonna say, because we're going a little bit long, but you think that car does not get banned.
Correct.
I'm saying that car does get
banned. For August
10th. All right. We're gonna put a bet on this, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so at our locals, the next time we play each other, whoever gets the bet right, their opponent scoops game 1.
Deal.
Done. All right. Well, guys, thank you all for listening to the Legacy Scrublands. We'll let you know how our bet plays out next week. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Stay tuned for another episode, and we'll let you guys know how this bet plays out. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
I'm taking you out of the scrubber.